Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to our weekly live streamed Shadowrun 5th Edition adventures. We stream our sessions live on Twitch TV, beginning at 9:30 p.m. Central Time every Sunday evening. Afterwards you can find it uploaded to my YouTube page, as well as a written write-up over on my blog, both of which you can find links to here on my profile on Twitch. I'm Eric Watson, your Game Master, and this is my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Gorbash722. You can also follow me on Twitter at Rogue Watson. Joining me are a regular cast of Shadowrunners. Chris playing Ursiv the Troll Shaman. Heather playing Mount to the
Eric.
Hello.
Oh, you're not taking hellos tonight?
Sorry.
Asshole.
We're used to the hellos, yeah. Well, Reese isn't here to do his hello, so.
Okay.
Heather.
So what, the rest of us are top
Heather
order?
playing Mount to the Human Street Samurai. Hello, Heather.
I don't know if I want to say hello to you now.
Raymond
I'm in the
playing
same room with
Saren
you.
the Human Decker. Hello, Raymond.
Hello.
Reese
Hi.
playing Falkirk the Elf Adept, currently out of town right now, not joining us for our epilogue and recap episode of The Bodyguards. For our campaign, we use Roll20.net. For video sharing, we are using Google Hangouts. And for broadcasting and streaming, I use Open Broadcaster Software, OBS. Much of our music is by Perturbator, including our intro and outro music. So this will be a shortened session as we do a epilogue and recap episode at the end of any individual Shadowrun mission, which we just finished our third Shadowrun mission for 5th edition, which is called The Bodyguards, another one that I wrote from scratch and built, so be another interesting one for feedback. And how we structure this is we basically just go in kind of chronological order of the actual mission, and I kind of explain, we just go over like everything that happens, since it's hard to tell how long any of these missions are going to take session-wise, and I know 2 of the weeks we had to do shortened sessions, one because I was sick, and one because Heather had to work or go out of town the next morning. And then we had a super long one this last week to kind of help make up for it, so it ended up being 6 sessions long, which is, 6 weeks of action, so we're, it can be kind of useful just to go back that early, because it's kind of tricky to retain like a lot of this information that can come in.
Right.
And mostly it helps give me another week to prepare for the next adventure. So this one began with a visit from Ursiv, played by Chris. He had built a little backstory with his character. Chris, why don't you go ahead and explain that in relevance to this character that gave you the mission?
My relationship with my brother, or how?
Yeah.
I wish I meant that's his name. Yeah. They grew up on the streets, orphans. I don't know who the parents were. I didn't really think about that, since they don't know. They just know that they were street urchins. Growing up and being trolls, they were pretty well outcasts. And when they started hitting puberty, Benton's a little bit older. He's a few years older. And when Ursiv, which I forget what his real name is off the top of my head,
Murray,
he wasn't going by Ursiv at the time. Murray, maybe.
Something like that. I'd have to look in my notes.
Yeah, right. When he hit puberty, or started going through puberty, he started manifesting his magical abilities, which, for a street urchin, not knowing how to control them or what to do with them, it proved a little dangerous. And Benton had no idea what to do, and he was scared by it, so he ended up dropping him off with the well-known street shaman, who would take in any street urchins that had magical abilities. And this guy would raise them and teach them how to control them, and in exchange they would work for him, do magical things for him, and that's how he ran a business like that with a bunch of kids, kind of like the guy from Oliver Twist who ran the little gang of kid thieves.
And I really liked
Yeah.
this like narrative you had built up as a backstory, and especially because the one major like NPC in your life was the bigger brother, and I thought I could use that as somebody who would have a relevant job. And in fact, I think you had mentioned that he would be working as like in security or something.
Right. 'Cause he's he was a tough guy, and he ended up starting to make money by just being tough, being big and strong and hitting people.
Yeah, so I ended up using that character. I think I talked to you to get like a description of his like personality and stuff before we started this adventure, and I used him as essentially the plot hook quest giver. In a lot of Shadowrun missions, you kind of just have your team's like fixer, which my original idea was to set you guys up with a fixer and then go with missions from there. And that's what we did for the last adventure on Road Rage. You guys got contacted by Jeremiah Red, and he had you just do a mission directly for him. But this time, I just kind of skipped all that and said, I'm just going to do this whole like side thing and just have this Benton character show up, who's Ursula's brother, and that's motivation enough, really, I would hope, for you guys just to assist him and also provide some interesting like role-playing opportunities with that character. So that was the entire prologue, was just you guys talking with Benton and getting the actual mission, which was to basically be hired on as temporary security guards to work a rock concert, like an indie rock concert, for one night, for a pretty good payout. They needed to double up security. Now this mission was the one that I had an idea for when I first decided to start thinking about like Shadowrun adventures. This was like the first adventure hook I'd thought of, was working security at this like magic rock concert.
Really?
And
Wow,
having a kidnap team show up, and you guys had to like fight them off. And then it would branch depending on if they were able to kidnap the person or not. But I thought that would be too much for me for a beginning adventure, too much for all of us. So I didn't do it as the first one. I wanted to set you guys up first, and then I had kind of a sequel to that one with Road Rage. And then finally, when that one ended, I was like, all right, I'm going to definitely do this one. Now I feel confident in building this one. So as we go along, this was probably the mission I was most excited about doing, although my initial hook was literally just like rock concert and kidnapper show up to kidnap the star.
Nice, okay.
So afterwards, I actually gave you guys a chance to go to the venue and scope it out, which I'll just go ahead and skip to scene 2, which was the actual night. Because that's also something that you guys, it just kind of makes sense that, I mean, if you guys had asked, like, hey, let's go scope out the venue, and, you know, beforehand, which I kind of railroaded a bit. I was like, all right, if you guys want to go see it, you can, and obviously you guys did, so. And essentially there was no danger there. You guys could just walk around, see, like, the area, maybe see any, like, you know, any kind of magical or technical shit that was around, and kind of see what you guys were dealing with beforehand.
Yeah.
And then from there, so really there was still no real action, no like, I mean there was a little bit of exploration there, but there was no kind of nothing to really find. And then we went ahead and skipped ahead to the evening of the concert, which is the scene we're looking at now. And this one was obviously the biggest area I've built in Roll20, just a giant like converted warehouse essentially, with all these different little rooms kind of petering off, a big stage area, catwalk, and all this stuff. So that was an interesting exercise to build. And for the most part, I literally had just written a bunch of just kind of random events that could happen, almost like if this were a pre-generated adventure, like a pre-written one, it would be like roll a d6 and any of these things can happen at this time, which is how a lot of those pre-written adventures work. It's like, here's just like story hooks. So I essentially just wrote a bunch for me, and then a few I expanded because I liked the idea. The biggest one was the Backstage Pass group, because I thought that was a really fun opportunity for you guys to like kind of suss out like if people were on the level or not, and like try to figure out like intentions of the backstage group guys.
Right.
And then the rest were basically just like literally just the seeds of little events, like there's like somebody selling drugs in the stage area. There's like a ticket scalper outside. There's, you know, a person like collapses because of an overdose or something. Like just a bunch of literally like little dashes I made that's like a one-sentence thing for all these random events. Aside from the backstage passes, which was more expanded because each person had a specific motivation and stuff. And I think it ended up working pretty well, but I'm curious to hear from you guys on how this whole like scene unfolded before we actually got to like the combat action. Did you guys have any idea like what this was going to be like going into it, or like how this was going to work?
I was waiting for something to explode.
Like the very beginning.
Yeah, I've already played my hand with the giant bomb going off, so.
Yeah, I mean this. I think this is largely what I was expecting. Whenever we discussed, being security at a concert, I liked it. All the little mini events were fun, and
I know. I thought each mini event would lead to like the big. Surprise.
Right. I kept expecting like whatever we were doing to like escalate to something big.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was like I was like tense. I was like, all right, some shit is about to happen, and I just have to be prepared because Lord knows if not, I'm going to die.
Yeah. So what I was afraid of is that you were expecting us to do something, and if we didn't do something, then something bad was going to happen. Like if we didn't spot a guy, he was going to kill the lady, or if we didn't like react in a certain way in a certain situation, then a bomb was going to go off.
Weren't watching a certain room or something. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. Exactly. Not watching a certain area. Yeah.
It's very tense.
Yeah, I never like to just do gotcha stuff too much. I want to try to always give you guys some kind of like options or things. But I definitely did have obviously a big event planned, which was these kidnappers were going to show up, and they had like an agenda of things they were going to do to try and obviously they were going to distract the audience, and you already had like the magical effect of the singer singing, which was literally like a spell. It was like a mass illusion spell that she was singing on everyone. And you guys had a chance to like resist that if you were in the room, and that would have distracted you further. And then one of the kidnapper team cast a spell to make like that stone dragon come to life, just to like further cause chaos and like illusionary stuff. And then I had a guy in the back, which was the one that Lance went to, which I kind of let happen because I know Saren was watching the computers, and I think I had you actually spot the person that was like walking, like it had snuck in the hallway and it went to the bathroom. And you sent Lance back there, so I was literally deciding what I wanted to happen back there while you guys were dealing with the threat, in the front. And I was thinking, like, all right, depending on how this goes, either they're gonna rush back there and Lance is gonna be unconscious and the singer is gonna be like they're gonna flee with the singer, or if you guys end up winning out here, instead of dragging it on, I'll probably just have the kidnapper having lost that fight and Lance will like drag him out. So that literally could have gone either way. But that guy's plan was to plant a bomb like near the bathroom door and create an escape exit for the rest of them.
I knew something was gonna blow up.
Yeah.
Some sort of explosion.
They weren't going out the front.
So they were going to go out to the bathroom?
Yeah, because that leads right to that back area. Because this wall, I don't know if you guys can see my pings. This wall up here, the door was like a modern like secure door. So they were just going to blow a hole in the wall right here in order to get out to this back area.
Okay.
And that was definitely a branching part of the story. She could have definitely been kidnapped. And instead of you guys having to go to the mansion to steal evidence, you would have to go to the mansion to rescue her back.
Oh, okay.
So it would have kept me so I could use the same scene, but it would have changed the dynamic of the scene. And you guys wouldn't have gotten a lot near as much information. You would have had to, I think I had planted like emails or something you could have found. And then, or like Ellie and Milosh could have told, like he would have spilled the beans once she had been kidnapped about, like, because he knew about her situation. Yeah. So I had like things set up where you would still kind of know, but it would have changed.
Narratively, I think narratively that would have been a better way for it to have gone.
Yeah, I always, I've been constantly.
I think that would have been more like our style.
What am I trying to say? Overestimating, underestimating. You guys always are stronger than I think you are, essentially.
Oh, right.
So you guys have been able to take care of most threats without, and that's, and part of it is just me trying to figure out the Shadowrun rules, but it's hard. There's no like overall threat level. I mean, there's no levels at all in Shadowrun, so it's tricky to like tell.
How
like,
do you gauge?
Yeah. You just have to look at like how many dice the other guys are rolling, and there is a system where I can use edge points on my guys too, which seems crazy broken, but but I mean edge points kind of like break it for you guys. Essentially, it's a critical you can use like anytime you want, and you just have a pool of them. And because we go, you know, missions are long but not super long, and this one especially didn't have much combat, and you guys could just basically use all your edge during that last sequence. So. Yeah, it probably would have been better. I could have fought a little bit harder, and maybe had some more kidnappers in there or something to try and actually get her kidnapped. But yeah, I thought you guys had diffused the situation well enough. Although it was kind of anticlimactic because that third one ended up surviving so long. All of you were just like shooting at each other. I think you had taken the first two out like super early. One of them I remember shot off the catwalk, and then Falkirk had to catch the falling singer. That was interesting.
Yes, that's right.
You're nothing if not dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
So did you guys think there was going to be more after this, or was this like? Did you think this was basically the entire crux of the adventure?
Oh yeah, I didn't realize there was a second step to this. Yeah, I thought this was it.
Yeah, I thought it was it, and then it was gonna go like a day or two passes, and then something else happens.
Yeah.
Right, like a new adventure. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely had a follow-up plan. Like, obviously, if she had been kidnapped, that would have done it. But I also wanted to be like, all right, even if she's not kidnapped, I kind of want you guys to, like, then get a mission to basically prevent her from being kidnapped in the future, kind of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I even had a contingency plan in case you guys were, like, they were leaving, but you were, like, chasing after them. There could have been, like, a whole car chase thing to try to get her back and all that, so...
Yeah.
Basically, I had a lot of the random event stuff was fun and wasn't planned at all, and ended up I think being a really fun session in general. Like the role playing was super. Fun.
The role playing was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the end of it was like
crushing the BTL.
Yeah, that was great.
Trying to make a point, and the guy just was totally oblivious. He didn't get it at all.
A lot of super different characters at once, which was crazy. Yeah, I think that was probably the most fun I've had. Doing Shadowrun so far was just those silly little events that you guys could all respond to.
Yeah.
But it was still like me doing things and you guys reacting to stuff too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there wasn't a whole lot of you guys just wanting to do, or like deciding to do things.
Right. Yeah.
And then like the end of it, I didn't have, like I said, I didn't know what was going to happen with the kidnappers or Lana, but. Yeah, as it turns out, I'm constantly like underestimating you guys because you defeated them fairly handily. So yeah, after that, I rescued, took out the kidnappers, and most of them you were able to. I think all of them you actually knocked out instead of killed. I think every single one of them you did that with.
Yeah.
And then you got the second part of the mission, which was to go to Lana's parents' house, which is a mansion, and steal some evidence for her. And this was a desire to basically create a stealth situation where you guys had to infiltrate, like a straight up like Dishonored or Deus Ex or something, where you guys had to infiltrate an area, you know, crawling with guards, get something and get out, essentially.
Right.
And near the end of this session, you guys had started formulating a plan to like use basically the kidnappers to get in, and I thought that was really cool. So I had to like hastily write up like some modifications for you guys to be able to like roll up in the car and essentially use social skills. Yeah. Although I helped you guys out big time towards the end of that one. So let's go to our... And you actually mind controlled one of the kidnappers, whom I had to quickly create like a name for and things, and stripped this guy of his clothes and just shoved him in the bag and essentially used him to get everywhere, which is a little shady, but
hey, it worked.
It did. And then yeah, we got inside, which I kind of hastily built this in Roll20. I didn't even know if we really needed a map for this, but
yeah. Well, What was the point of this whole section? Was it just to introduce the FBI people? Or the government people?
Yeah, I just wanted to create another step of, like this place, this is like a secure facility, and you still had to get in here. And really, this would have been a lot harder had you not had that guy with you.
Right.
And it would have been further incentive to work for the person on the stakeout down here, because she would have provided you guys with a registered car to get in. Would have been part of her incentive for, like, taking the job from her.
Okay. Yeah.
But you guys basically were able to get in on your own, so it actually ended up being, like, pretty much no big deal for you.
Yeah.
Mainly by using the
The naked
enslaved, kidnapper guy was. And originally, and you guys, I originally had them all speaking Japanese, and none of it was going to work with you, and I could have just stopped it right there and just ixnayed.
Yeah.
But I did really like that idea, and I thought, okay, I really want to see where they're going with this, so I'll let, like, one guy speak up, and he'll be kind of, like, traitorous and wanting to, like, willing to turn on the outfit, I guess. Yeah, and interestingly, here, Saren chose to split up with you guys and scope out the guardhouse, which I ended up rewarding by giving him the floor plans of the house. During the session, I quickly added them to Roll20. So you guys got in. You had to do another social check when I had basically the boss show up and kind of keep you from getting in.
Right.
And take Mauta, which I thought, alright, I'm going to further split the party up, and this will be really interesting, because I'll let you guys get in, but you're going to be split up. And then he said you guys had to turn around and go and ditch the car, and you guys were ready to do that. And I was like, oh, they're not. Like, I was surprised. I basically thought this was going to be like an extended, tense social scene, but instead you guys were extremely compliant to what I was saying to you.
And see, I think we were all on different pages here, because I was, and I kept saying that. I don't remember if I actually said this multiple times, but I expected like a fight to start right there. Like I was like, okay, violence starts now because our cover's blown. We're not going to be able to hold on to this flimsy illusion.
But technically, you never blew the cover. I mean, you were still, like, you agreed to their demands and stuff, but you never even, so you didn't even want to try anything. You were just like, we can't do anything that's going to lead to combat, which it could have led to combat had you guys done anything stupid at that point.
Right.
But anyway, I kind of saved your asses by offering.
So what could we have done there?
We'll do like what I said, which was my guy like spoke up and said like, "Hey, we need to like fill up on gas or repair the car or something to get in the garage." Like,
oh yeah.
And then depending on how you role played it, I would have made you roll or not roll. Oh
yeah.
If I thought it was like a good idea, if I was like, oh, you should probably roll for social skill for that or something. So.
That might be a problem with the fact that we had Jason doing the talking, and none of us are actually control. I mean, I guess I could have told him to say things, but
yeah,
it's like we aren't doing the social checks or whatever.
Yeah, it did create a little interesting situation. So yeah, you guys ended up pulling up into the house, so getting in basically past two different forms of security fairly easily. So that part was already done, and then Mauta was up in the upstairs bedroom all alone, no weapons. And then you guys were in the car, and Saren was outside in the guardhouse. So tell me your game plan, or what your thought process was for this.
I don't think we had a game plan once we got inside.
No, not the slightest.
Well, we didn't know what was waiting for us. We didn't know what we were looking for. We didn't know where what we were looking for was. We were just completely blind, so we were just fumbling around, like hoping we stumbled upon something that's useful. So yeah, we were just sort of, we all sort of went different directions to do that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a few things. Well, the one thing I had in place was I was going to have, the mom was already there, and she was actually across the bedroom from Mauta with the baby. And it took her a little time to get to where Mauta was. And then I was going to have the dad, he was like going to get a phone call and return home, essentially. And then he would walk in, which depending on where you guys were, and I had to work out the timing of when I wanted him to show up, that could cause a monkey wrench to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, you guys were exploring basically the first floor, like the middle area, and kind of scoping out where the guards were, and doing a pretty good job at first. But then you just kind of got stymied. I was pretty satisfied that Reese Falkirk actually wanted to inspect the wine cabinet, so I had him roll the perception. That was like the one secret thing I put in this house, was the secret passage.
That's actually pretty funny that somehow that actually did trigger in him to take a look at it.
And I let him find the thing in the perception check and all that. So it ended up not, I don't think, helping you guys at all, because it just leads to this
Not at all.
other room in here. Yeah, I just used it as another way to get through the house, essentially. And yeah, at this point, I think you guys were kind of getting stymied a little bit on how to approach, and then I had the dad come with the boss guy, Shinjin, and they went upstairs, and then Mauta was in trouble after she had scouted a little bit of the upstairs area. And then her plan was actually just to shimmy down the balcony, essentially, and try to meet up with you guys, which, man, she rolled a miraculous sneaking check, and I rolled a horrible perception check on this fucking guard dog that I had her land right next to. I was going to, I'm going to rip you to shreds when you get down to the floor because you didn't look before you left. And she beat him out.
Running leap.
Yeah. Beat out the sneak check, so I gave her a chance to escape and get in the house. I was going to have the dogs be like the one outside struggle. They weren't ever going to enter the house. But you guys had enough to deal with, because you opened up with the attack on the main guard in the foyer. Two surprise attacks, which did not end up working well. Yeah.
No.
And then I don't know what Saren's plan was outside of the house.
What were you trying to do, Raymond? What was your goal?
So at some point, to catch up, he did make it to he had to just huff it. He made it to the outside of the house. That's when the dad arrived. After, I think he had climbed the fence. And then he used an edge point to roll under the car, action hero style, and hang on, and it drug him the 30 feet or whatever it is to the front of the house. And then I had the guys go in. I had one guard posted kind of outside the house, and then Saren decided to just kind of crawl out from under the car, but then lost the sneak check, so got spotted by the guard.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to get closer to the house so that I could maybe get inside and access the network and the computers or whatever from inside, since it seemed like it was blocked from the outside.
Yeah, I wasn't going to let you access the computer you needed to get, because I would have just run the whole thing moot, essentially. So the computer was supposed to be an off, kind of on its own grid, I guess, whatever you want to call it, on its own system.
Right, a closed system, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't actually include too many, there weren't any automated defenses or anything of that nature. It was really more conventional stuff. Although I think at some point you were trying to hack the car or something happened. But
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
So that was when the dog, no, the dog didn't appear. I was trying to hack the car and then drive it into the building.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe through the door, take out that guy or something.
Yeah.
Give me access. Because I assumed it might have been locked or something and I couldn't get in. So I have a way of controlling electronics and controlling device, but my rolls were all terrible, and then the dog came and got in my way.
That's true. Yeah.
So the guard ended up being the least of your worries, and you remember when I just said the guard dogs were going to be the outside problem. I was like, well, this guard dog's going to spot you.
Right,
yeah,
and my rolls were just so terrible that I went into the Matrix to try to control the car before the dog got in, but that failed, and the dog broke through the car, and so I had to get out of the Matrix.
Those dogs were like the ghouls, except even stronger. They were obviously no armor, so they couldn't resist anything.
Yeah.
But their attack was 10 or 11 dice and did some pretty decent damage. So
yeah, and so I'm in Cold Sim. I can kind of know what's going on, so I figured I should snap back out before this dog just mauls my body.
Probably a good idea.
It wouldn't matter if I controlled the car with the dog in there, just throwing the cart. So
unless you can control it and get out of the car and slam
right,
the dog car into the house.
But yeah, all the rolls were just terrible. I kept trying to do something and it would fail, and so then the enemies would advance one step further, one step closer. And that's why I wasted all that time, like, getting out of the car and trying to avoid this dog.
It was a bad situation to be at. Yeah, the outside of the front of the house is kind of a nasty, nasty spot to be. So, and yeah, so that actually happened at the same time. You guys attacked the front guard, and obviously you can see here what ended up happening, but, and then Raymond got out of the house, and then I think all three of you were together at that point, and the kidnapper guy, Jason. And basically we just started conventional combat after that, and the one advantage... Now, these guys were pretty strong guards. They were professional rating, which is kind of how the level system, I guess, works for NPCs, of like 3 or 4. They were like, you know, professional gang, I mean, basically Yakuza guys.
Yeah.
With like...
Oh yeah, we figured that out.
Yeah, I mean, assault rifles doing like some pretty decent damage and some pretty good rolls. The one advantage you guys had is because you did do a surprise attack and weren't technically like caught until after you started combat, they trickled in kind of like you were only fighting I think 2 or 3 at a time.
That's true.
Out of the like half a dozen guards that were here enjoying the fight. In fact, I had one more in the bed that was sleeping. I just left him sleeping back there.
He's a very heavy sleeper.
Yeah. So you guys ended up fighting him, just kind of trickling in this like just giant bloodbath foyer, which the one problem that ended up happening is the one guy from the game room came in and could kind of trap Jason and Mauta in this hallway right here, and Jason ended up just getting murdered because he had no armor, because he stripped him of his armor. I don't remember if Mauta got shot or not, actually. I don't know if he ever took
not by
damage.
him.
Okay.
I did. I took a little bit of damage, but I don't think it was by him.
Okay. I don't know if Saren actually got damaged either at any point, but... Yeah, I know Ursiv was almost, like, dead, and Falkirk, I think, got pretty injured, too.
Yeah.
As he was, like, knife-fighting people.
Slip out
he was knife-fighting a dude for a while.
For a while, yeah. One of the dudes ended up surviving a while. Yeah, and then it escalated because the boss ended up coming down, as did, like, another guard that were from the upstairs. And I decided not to have the parents join in, because I wanted them to be more defensive and kind of, you know, expecting the security to take care of things. Although I built the mom as a, like, combat adept. She had, like, monk powers that...
Wow, okay.
If you guys had threatened the baby or threatened them in any way, she was probably going to attack. The dad was just kind of a business guy.
What was the story with that baby? Was something supposed to happen there?
I mean...
Was the baby a bomb?
The baby was not a bomb, no. It was just to kind of give further context that, like... I mean, they're not necessarily straight-up evil people. They're just kind of allowing these evil things to happen. But they have made another child, and so that kind of creates a moral dilemma for you guys. If you guys had, like, murdered everyone in the house, there was this crying baby there.
Yeah, if we had just decided... Well, we were... Yeah, okay. I don't think at any point...
Hey, I don't judge. I'm just the GM.
I did think it might be like a plot twist. Like this might be Lana's baby or something.
I thought
that's what I was waiting for, too.
But then I did,
I think you guys did mention to Lana that... Because that was going to be an extra karma point if you guys had mentioned to Lana that she had essentially a baby sibling. Which I think Reese mentioned that, like, in passing, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a baby.
Yeah. You kind of discovered that a little bit.
What the fuck... What does she care? She's trying to cut off all communication with her family.
Yeah, but it's something that nice to know, I think. I mean, just because literally she would not know.
Right.
So yeah, this I was not sure you guys were going to survive this, because I was like, there is a lot of powerful dudes coming. Shinjen was extremely powerful. Like, damn. And
I thought we were all going to die.
About midway through, I didn't think everybody was going to die, but I was pretty sure I was going to die. So about midway through that fight, I was thinking, like, okay, so for the next adventure, I'm going to have to re-roll a new character and join in. So I was like, what do I want to play this time?
He's already accepted his fate. Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to kill you guys off, but it definitely felt good to at least have you worried at that point. Which is crazy, because, like, literally, again, underestimating you guys, like, I thought this would murder you all, but instead it just heavily bloodied you, so...
Yeah.
That's kind of the rate we're at, but... Yeah, you guys were able... And again, like, using those edge points helps a lot, especially since you guys rarely use edge until, like, these final battles, so it ends up working out pretty well that you can use those to very great effect. Because I think you used both edge, Chris, to both avoid a killing blow and then deal the killing blow to the boss.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
You two were having... There was a lot of melee fighting going on in this one. Reese with his new samurai sword, attacking guy with a knife, and then the other guys.
About the two fights, though, is that Reese and his knife guy...
Went on for a
neither
while.
One of them were hitting each other.
They were just, like, parrying back and forth. And...
Yes. Whereas the fight with me and Sinjin both involved just
taking out large chunks of each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was vicious.
Blows.
I think Mauta murdered 2 people. I think you murdered the guy in the back, and then also the guy who came down the stairs and like tried to murder Falkirk.
Yeah, that's what he gets for coming down the stairs.
Yeah, so getting in combat definitely alerts the rest of the security team.
Right. I think we all assumed that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So was there a way to get upstairs without alerting the guards?
I mean, I would hope so.
So that means no.
You can, I mean, you shimmy down the balcony. You could probably climb up there, and you'd have to like murder. I mean, the dogs didn't have comm links. You could technically murder the dogs in the dark and like sneak around. There were multiple entrances. To get upstairs, yeah, you'd had to climb up. You'd had to take out this foyer guard silently, or move him out of that room by distracting him, casting a spell somewhere, something. Which might have put the team on a higher alert, depending on what kind of distraction it was. And I had a system in place where if you guys had alerted them, but you weren't technically actively being hunted, then guards would have started patrolling the area, which would have made things a little more easier. But, you know, there was a lot of little side rooms, and none of these were locked that you guys could, like, hide in also, very much. I just played Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and that is a funny thing that is, like, in all the little stealth sections, there's all these little haystacks and, like, cupboards and shit that if you move near, your guy just automatically hides in. And then if somebody walks past it, you just press a button, and your dude just takes them and hauls them back into that dark space, and then they're just gone. So yeah, I was hoping you guys would play with a little more with the stealth action, but giant combat works too, I suppose.
Yeah, I just don't think we have the skill set, or not skill set. Patience, maybe. Yeah.
The rolls just weren't good. I mean, the two of you tried a surprise attack and both failed.
That's true. We were trying to do that quietly. We were
that
trying to
probably
knock that guy out.
That probably might have needed
Like
an edge
drag him.
point. At that point, I mean that was a critical attack. You don't want to fail that guy.
I was
That's
outside.
true. I don't know why we didn't edge that, because that would have been a really good one to.
I suppose I can get rid of the fog of war on these now.
Yeah.
Just let you guys see like how much house I built. This is the upstairs area where Mauta was here in this bedroom, and the mom was here, the baby crib. And I didn't obviously put a whole lot of detail in here. I just wanted to throw a few furniture items and things.
So is the entire left half the second story?
This entire scene is the second story.
Oh.
The other scene is the first story.
Wow. So we didn't explore hardly any of the second story.
No.
I
mean, there was literally Mauta was like, Mauta was up here in the balcony area and was able to look into like the main, I guess, kind of game room area up here, and then the master bedroom in here, and then otherwise it was like the bathroom and the bedroom she was in. Yeah, and then the computer was in here, so which was the balcony over. Like there was a door right here, a balcony over the front end, so. Climbing up to the second story. I mean, literally, which I don't think you would have. I don't think there was a way to figure out exactly where the computer was. Although Raymond did get the floor plans, and I would think you would assume the office was a place to do it. So literally, just climbing up to the second.
We didn't know we were looking for a computer. I didn't. I had no idea what we were looking for.
Yeah. I
mean, I guess computer would have been a good thing to assume, but.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe that was something we needed to ask Lana more about.
Yeah.
I had a few more random things planned. Like it was a cred. Obviously, there was a cred stick. You basically could have robbed them. There was like a cred stick in the master bedroom with some money on it, and like some drugs in the bathroom cabinets and things. Random knickknacks. The sword was just a fun like, and that's what's getting me. Like I really want to try D&D next, but like I wanted to make this like basically this unique magic weapon and put it on a display case in the living room.
Nice.
that you guys
yeah.
could essentially rob from them.
And we did.
And you did.
I took Shinden's sword.
Yeah, that's just a conventional katana, but katanas are still pretty cool. So yeah, anyway, to go at the chronology, you guys killed everyone down there, went upstairs. At that point, I felt like, again, the climax of the battle and the whole adventure had kind of ebbed. So now I wasn't going to have, like, just you fight the parents or something. It was going to seem dumb.
We were also going on 3 hours at this point.
Yeah, that is true, and that does factor into it. Like, I mean, that's happened in previous adventures where, like, at the end of Road Rage, I had that water elemental essentially just escape, even though
Right.
I was gonna have it fight to the death. But I was like, it's going long, and it would just be anticlimactic at this point to have all 12 people on this map attack this creature. And you guys did a great job with the role playing up here. I think you had very well role play the exhaustion that we were all feeling at the end of that mega session, as well as that mega combat session, which I think was like a solid 2 hours. So, and I didn't have any roll for social checks. You guys did amazing with like pushing them up against the wall. I mean, the bloodiness, talking to them, like it was great. So I had them just immediately basically acquiesce, point to the office. You guys got what you needed and got out essentially. Because at that point I was like, all right, winning that combat as you did, that's pretty much rewards you with what you need to know. Now after that, so briefly go over the mansion. Like, what did you think about like what worked, what didn't? Since we talked about the rock concert.
I like the idea of it. I just don't have a solid enough idea on how to do stealth.
There wasn't very much room for stealth though, because to get upstairs there's only one way, unless you went outside or something. Like there weren't a lot of hidden passages or anything you could sneak through. I don't think.
I think we're also kind of approaching this. This may be one of the faults of Roll20, just of using that system. We're approaching this like a video game, like we can only use what we can see.
I've told Heather that
because we can only see one stairs, and that for us as the player is the only way up.
And I've been using Roll20 too much. I feel like also like what we need to do more, both me and you guys, is really think outside the box more. And not just like ask questions about what do I see here, like what is the description here. Like don't just rely on.
We don't ask you to describe like the setting very much.
Because you can just look at Roll20. Yeah, I fear we're playing the game too much like a tabletop miniature game, which D&D can be, and you can use that to supplement your adventure, which is what Roll20 helps you with. But in reality, we should be able to play this whole thing without any visual aids whatsoever. Roll20 is just nice because you get that, but. Yeah, I feel like definitely there needs to be more of like me just showing like a picture of something to give you an idea and then describing everything that's happening rather than give you these like intricate grid maps. And in the future I might just make like a small map just literally for combat purposes to like quickly put tokens on the board and then but otherwise just describe everything that's happening around you. Because I feel like that's a big problem on my end is I'm making way too much stuff in Roll20 and then everybody's just relying on like, you know, what I can actually see on this map rather than what I'm telling you. Or rather than you guys like asking questions and basically being more proactive about exploring and finding things out and figuring out new avenues to approach. I feel like if I had just described this house to you, you guys would have been asking me questions the whole time about, okay, where can we go? What can we go from here? And instead, since I gave you the scene, you're like, okay, well, this is the path I have to take.
Right. Here's the door, here's the hallway, here's the next door, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Something I thought of after the fact, I can't believe I didn't think of it at the time. I could have used my clairvoyance to go up.
Yeah.
I didn't need, it's not lateral.
That's true, yeah, you could have gone right upstairs, and in fact, I think the radius was to where you probably could have seen right where the office is from the garage.
Oh, right.
I'll go 4 on that one.
Okay.
Oh yeah, on the first floor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't look at. Oh yeah, it's another garage and a kitchen. We didn't look at the kitchen or the garage.
Yeah.
We never went over there.
Can I post-mortem steal like this yellow or silver car right here?
In hindsight, I stole a car.
You guys could have done a crazy getaway and like tried to like hack into the cars and get the hell out. There were some nice cars in here.
I wonder why in the moment we don't consider any of that stuff. Like we never even considered stealing the cars. We just left.
Yeah.
We used the same van that we came in.
Yeah, exactly. We left in the same van that we came in. I don't know why we did that. it never crossed any of our minds at the time.
Yeah.
We're not thieves.
Probably because, like, we probably would have considered the fact that there was probably trackers on the nicer cars.
Maybe.
Or stolen cars or something. I didn't have any backstory for them, so I would have had to come up with something if you had hacked into them. Could have been interesting. So yeah, this whole adventure was an experiment with making 2, well, I guess 3, with the house being 2 stories, giant Roll20 maps, and letting you move around a grid to try to create like a video game style stealth sequence of like, what can I do and all that. But it ended up not really working as well as I'd hoped, because I think, as we just discussed, you guys just see like, okay, there's the stairs, we have to get to the stairs, we'll have to take this guard out and that kind of thing. Whereas with tabletop role-playing, it should allow you to really just ask questions about, okay, well, maybe we can, you know, distract him by doing this over here, or maybe climb outside and climb up the walls somehow, or break in a window, or just kind of exploring different avenues rather than taking the obvious approach.
Well, I also don't want to break a window because I knew that would wake someone up. It was one of those, like, I was maintaining, trying to be stealthy.
Yeah.
But breaking the window is obviously going to cause noise.
I guess it depends on where the window is going to be, because I didn't have guards. You noticed like the kitchen and this dining room, not anybody.
But I was stuck upstairs.
Yeah.
And the only 2 windows, other than the bathroom, were for the 2 rooms that had guards in them.
Yeah, that would have been a bad idea to break those windows.
I think at the time we also didn't know if there was an alarm system like rigged to the windows or doors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, there's that whole video game mechanic mentality of, I don't know if I break a window, does the person in the next room hear it? I don't know in this scenario if he does or not.
Yeah.
I guess I could just straight up ask you, but
I mean, you probably wouldn't know. Like, you'd have to scout around to see if there are nearby guards, and just if you detected no alarms, you could just kind of try to go for it and see what happens.
yeah.
I think I had the alarms were like basically on the outside of the fence area, which you guys already got in that, like, got past all that pretty easily. So
Right.
the only technical stuff was like a few video cameras around, which again, you guys were already in the house, so you actually kind of bypassed a lot of the technical alarm stuff, and you just had to deal with like the conventional guards. Although I do believe you could have hacked into their comm links.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yep. Hacker can disable comm links and I think guns. Most guns have like a smart link system with them.
Okay.
So after this, you guys actually had a choice, which a lot of Shadowrun adventures do this, on where to actually turn this evidence into. The one you were originally hired to do, or the new player that was staked outside of the actual mansion that also offered to basically pay you for the same information, the MacGuffin.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I really enjoyed this, because you guys were straight up deliberating, like, tensely, after leaving this bloodbath area, like, where to go and what to do. And I really like that. Whenever I can just sit back and let you guys kind of, like, talk to each other about something like I've given you, that's pretty fun for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't. I mean, at the end of, I need to play a different character.
The benevolent nice guy does not suit you.
No, not at all. I always want to do the most duplicitous thing possible,
Yes.
which in this case would be sell the information to both players.
Which was your Pathfinder character, like, to a T.
Yeah. I really,
God.
so I really wanted to just have them pay us for the information, and then also have Wanda pay us for the information. But I think you said something that just, like, made that not possible. I don't remember what. For some reason, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember something happened to where we decided that wasn't going to work.
Yeah, I forgot how that went down. If, like, I guess, I don't know. Turning it in, I think I probably mentioned that turning it into her, the Ms. Johnson character, would presumably like lead to an arrest, which probably wouldn't have made Lana very happy, since one of her things was like she didn't want to like kill them or get them in trouble. I
Right.
think she just wanted out of it, basically.
But she never would have known that the reason they were arrested was because of the information we provided.
So
She never would have
duplicitous.
known that. All she would
It
have
just
known
would have been a
is they
crazy
gave her that
coincidence
information.
that after
Yeah,
those
well,
events,
I
they were
mean-
quickly arrested.
I mean, it's law enforcement. It's not going to be quickly.
It's whatever I say it is. The GM.
And also, Lana said she was going to leave. She's going to go to like some island or something. She's going to like,
Not an island.
like, well, I don't know. She's going to take off.
Yeah, she did
So
mention that she didn't want to be
knows-
back in town.
Yeah. So we would have, lost contact with her at that point.
So what was your?
Yeah. But like I said, I was playing the wrong character.
So is that what? Yeah, is everybody was being trying nice about it? Like that's the reason you wanted to go to Lana?
I think just because that's who hired us in the first place. Like I mean, what would we have told Lana if
Yeah.
I think the character I was playing, given the choice, would have stuck with the job he was hired to do.
Yeah. Interestingly, you guys did not actually negotiate with anybody at Lana's camp once you got there. There was a little bit of a scene where, she thanked you for the stuff and then offered you the money, and then you guys immediately were like, "We think that's fair." And I was like, "All right." I was fully expecting Falkirk to negotiate for a higher pay.
Right. But she offered us more though because we told her about the law enforcement, right? I thought that's what happened.
Yeah, because we told her there was other people offering us money.
Well, here's the deal. You never got an initial offer from her for doing this mission. You guys got the offer from
so we don't
Benton for the
know.
security, so you don't know what the initial offer was going to be.
Oh, yeah. We're bad about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Getting all the numbers
The
before we actually
bookkeeping.
commit to things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be a bookkeeping class. Skill is just accounting.
Mm-hmm.
So, for final rewards, I think I already told you guys got 10,000, and we added that the last time,
we all already put that in, yeah.
which was all from Lana. So you guys did not. Your last mess, I think you guys the equivalent of texting to the Miss Johnson character basically said, "Give us 24 hours." So this will be
we never.
and this will be an interesting development going forward to the next adventure to see if that has consequences.
Yeah.
So your total karma rewards, you got 2 karma for, and I'm just going to do these where I'm going to itemize them and then give you the total. You got 2 karma for successfully preventing the kidnapping at the concert. You got 1 karma for mostly correctly screening the backstage passers. Did let through a vampire. You got 2.
stopped him.
Yeah, you got 2 for basically just completing the events at the rock concert. You got 2 karma for gaining entrance to the villa quietly, basically stealthily. You did get inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got 1 karma for retrieving the evidence, but having to either fight or flee, which you guys fought and killed. Bonus karma, you got 1 bonus karma for not hurting Lana's parents, like she asked. And you got 1 bonus karma for telling Lana about her baby sibling, which I believe equals 10 karma.
Oh,
It
nice.
does.
Yeah, so the minimum karma earned for this adventure would have been 4, and the max karma earned for this adventure was 14. So you guys were definitely on the higher end of that one.
Yeah.
Which I base mine, and again, I've done all these Shadowrun stuff from scratch, but I base them obviously on the pre-written adventures and how they format it, and they do kind of a similar thing with the karma rewards of like, if this, then this.
Right.
And theirs are always a little higher, but they're, remember we started at the street level, which is like way less money and a bit less karma, so I do
Mm-hmm.
less money and less karma payouts because for you guys it's still like pretty big.
Right. Right.
So yeah, obviously the better things would have been if you get the evidence without fighting at all. I would have rewarded more karma for that.
Right.
And if you had turned all the so interestingly, I actually put down if you turned all the evidence into Ms. Johnson and then just went to Lana and told her. Obviously, Lana would have been very upset, but I would have rewarded you karma for that because you would be arresting people that were doing bad things, and that should be
Right.
rewarding with karma.
Probably got the money though.
And if you had offered to return the sword, turn that sword in that Reese found to Lana, that would have been worth a karma, and she would have refused and given the sword back.
What would she have wanted? Okay, yeah,
She
that
wouldn't
never would
have.
have occurred to me.
She would have recognized the sword and probably told a little thing about it that she doesn't really know anything about it, but she would recognize it as being in the living room and knew it had some kind of magical properties. But
okay.
I just figured that, and again, I'm rewarding karma as a way of like literally doing like good deeds, kind of a thing,
right?
As well as like an experience system. So. Because and I figure money is like the antithesis of that. Like most of the time, if you're getting more money or more things, it's typically because you're like squeezing more money out of things, or you're robbing people, or basically doing something. And I feel like karma is the other end, the other reward if you're not getting that. So,
right.
It's not necessarily and this or that, but it's kind of a little bit of a balance there.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, so total karma rewards were 10. Total money rewards were 10,000, all from Lana. Which you got 5,000 for doing the security job and 5,000 for bringing the evidence. And then your social rewards, you guys got a total of +2 notoriety. 1 for basically murdering people in a security guards in a home, and +1 for not turning in the evidence to Ms. Johnson after she after you agreed to do so.
Okay.
And then you get +1 public awareness from basically just completing the mission, because you guys were working security, and obviously now people are recognizing you a bit more.
Yeah. Wait. Say that one again.
+1 public awareness is another like social stat, which I think you can add that to like any kind of intimidation role where you would be saying like, "Don't you know who I am?" that kind of thing. I think that like adds into your role, because it's like, would people know who you are? You know.
Does the notoriety go up though?
Notoriety goes up by 2. You guys get +2 notoriety from this one.
+2 notoriety, +1 public awareness.
Yeah, and your street cred should go up with that 10 karma you guys got, because your street cred is literally just your total karma divided by 10.
How much karma did we get?
You got
10
karma, so you should be at
So +10 to everything.
39.
39, yeah. So you should have 39 total karma, and your street cred should be 3.
Okay.
Which
So our notoriety should be 2.
I'll make that. So I'll make these adjustments on Reese's
And
also. 39.
Public awareness should be 2.
Yeah, so you should have 3 street cred, 2 notoriety, and 2 public awareness. Yep. And so when you're adding it, your 10 to your total karma, also add that 10 to your karma, because that's like your current karma you can use, essentially. You guys got that?
Say that again? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got 10 karma, so that adds both to your current karma total as well as your total. So everybody's current karma could be different, but your total karma, everybody should be at 39.
Right.
And I made all those adjustments to Reese's character since he is not here. And then contacts, you guys just got the 1 contact. Even though you met a lot of NPCs, I'm just going to wrap everybody up into Benton. So you can add Benton as a Connection 3, Loyalty 3 contact. And Chris, you get to add him as a Loyalty 5.
Okay.
Since he is your brother. So just keep in mind, if you ever want to try for some reason to contact any of those people, Lana or Eleanor. Now keep in mind that she's going to be like not necessarily maybe wanting to deal with you unless it was an emergency with her parents or something. But Ben is certainly there, and he's got his little security knowledge base and that kind of thing. So, so yeah, current total money rewards 10,000, karma 10, contact of Benton, connection 3, loyalty 3, and then +2 notoriety, +1 public awareness. So, what did you guys think about the Bodyguards overall compared to previous adventures, like how the whole thing worked, how long it was, combat-wise, like everything?
I think you gave more opportunities for role playing.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. It was definitely less combat heavy, right?
Yes, I think there were only two, which was the actual kidnappers at the concert, and then that final combat bloodbath.
Right.
Yeah, compared to the last adventure, which was like every single scene had a major combat encounter.
Right. Right.
Which kind of got a little tedious.
Mm-hmm.
But this also felt a little slow at times, where it kind of dragged because we weren't real sure what to do because of the whole stealth aspect of everything. Where everything we've done up to that point has been pretty out in the open and just like, bam. Now it was kind of one of those like, all right, now you have to use more than 3 brain cells. And it kind of stymied all of us.
And this is where I feel like Roll20 actually failed us rather than helped, because I was picturing like, oh, this is gonna be so cool with Roll20. I'm gonna have guards everywhere and they can see him and stuff. But I feel like it actually limited you guys too much. Whereas, like in Road Rage, with all the everything was just a set piece for combat. Like that worked really well with having Roll20 because it was all just tactical battles, essentially one after the other.
Right. Yeah, and I really like this one, except for that one session where I don't remember 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, where we were just straight floundering. We just literally had no idea.
It was kind of two sides. Like there was one. Yeah, there was one short one where you guys got inside.
And that was like it.
And then we ended it right there, basically as soon as you guys got in and got separated and stuff. And then the next one, which was literally last week, was a 3-hour session where you guys did all the stealth, which was about an hour. And then literally like an hour into it, the combat starts. And it was like an hour and a half or 2 hours of straight that one combat scene. And then the last like half hour of like the epilogue of you guys like getting the evidence and then turning it into Lana.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially it was the first part of that mega session was you guys trying to sneak around and figure out what was going on.
Right.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it clicked very well with the stealth infiltration. I wanted to try because I figured that was something we hadn't done yet.
Yeah. I mean, and hey, that in universe wise, maybe that's a good lesson for our team. We had never tried stealth before, and we realized that our team is not quite
more of the shock and awe variety.
We're more of the shock and awe variety. Yes.
Yeah.
So now, whenever people come to us, I need you guys to sneak in somewhere. We'll look at them and go,
like, well, that's not.
How much C4 does the sneaking require?
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to require at least 5 pounds. Yeah, so that was...
Our team knows that about themselves now.
Yeah, there you go. It was a learning experience for all of us. So, to tease our next adventure, which may or may not be our final Shadowrun adventure, we can talk about that off the stream, but I'm actually going to be doing a pre-written adventure for the first time, and that might be part of the issue, is me trying to come up with all these adventures, and I'm thinking too much in terms of Roll20. It's like, okay, how many, I can do this scene, and I need to just stop doing that. So I'm using a pre-generated adventure. This is actually designed for beginner, regular runners, so we're going to use it. I'm going to use it as a finale for your guys' street running campaign, essentially. But it's pretty cool. Like, it's got multiple factions, and I can bring in... I'm going to modify it for anybody that's curious. It's called Splintered State. It's just one of the pre-written, like 5th edition modules for Shadowrun. But I'm gonna modify it quite a bit to basically include a lot of past NPCs and tie up a lot of stuff together. But I think it'll work out, hopefully, pretty well. And be prepared for basically less Roll20 stuff. I think that's gonna help both of us. Certainly, I mean, I spent a lot of time building these maps, and if they're not...
So,
if a lot of them aren't working as well, then I certainly
think what a good compromise might be. Yeah, exactly. I think a good compromise might be, and this might be kind of fun too. Like, if we don't know that you have a D20 or a Roll20 map for combat set up, so we're like, okay, you're walking into this apartment complex, and there's an image of an apartment complex. You're telling us what it looks like. Blah blah blah.
Don't switch to the grid until shit happens.
Don't switch to the grid until shit goes down. And okay, here's the combat area.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Final Fantasy combat, like it spins until
yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I tried to do a little like this gated community area that we're looking at right now. I didn't plan on having any combat there and still had the grid, but I think you're right. I think doing it the other way, using the grid maps sparingly and less, and even then only showing them Like, don't show my hand too early with that. Because there's no point for you guys just to walk around. Like, I almost didn't even need to build one for the first, like, bar scene in the very first adventure. Like, you guys could have just walked around. I could have just described all those things rather than had little stick figures of characters around. I think that just ruined us from the beginning.
Now, granted, that does require you to have some sort of mental map or physical map of what's going on.
Yeah,
because if you tell us there's a guy hurt, in the north corner of the bar, and then forget that later, and then they're not there, that's gonna kind of fuck us up a little bit.
That's true. Yeah, we'll have to keep more track of those.
It's gonna end up relying on.
Or
you
I can still build some of the stuff in Roll20, just not show you unless it really comes down to having combat too. So.
Right. Yeah.
That
might
help as well.
Do that.
So yeah, I think I'm going to try to change my style a little bit to make it more tabletop RPG and less like miniature wargaming. Just kind of how we've been rolling.
Right.
And then also using...
if nothing else, an experiment. See how it works.
Right, exactly, yeah. And like I said, also using an actual pre-generated adventure that's got a lot of the information already done for me, which should be really awesome. And it'll be interesting to see how long this one takes as well. Like I said, this last one, I mean, I think they've been getting progressively longer in terms of like the sessions, and we only do 2.5 hour sessions, which seem long, but they're actually relatively short for RPG sessions. A lot of these adventures I've seen are made for like 4-hour blocks, but meant to be completed in that 4 hours, which seems crazy to me because when some of these combats take like an hour, it's like I don't know if we're just really slow or how that works, but.
Because Roll20 hates us.
And it seems like you'd go faster, but just having clicks on stuff and less dice, but I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, next adventure will be Splintered State, and will serve as the epic finale to our campaign moving forward. So we can talk about what advancements you guys want to make after this stream, or just during the week, I guess, in terms of like any new things your characters are buying or skills and stuff. Otherwise, any final closing thoughts on the Bodyguards? I was really excited to unleash this one on you guys. Although, honestly, it was stressful because it was a lot of work in Roll20. Like, I had a lot of map to build. These giant maps took a long time. And by the time you guys were doing the rock concert, I still hadn't built any of the house. Like, I was really coming up almost deadlines, like, building that shit.
Right. You're becoming a graphic designer overnight, Eric.
And that's not... and, it's frustrating because Roll20 does not have a whole lot of modern stuff. It's mostly D&D, so it's...
Right.
You just try to search, like, fucking couch, and it's not the easiest thing to find. It's like, I can't even, TV, and, I don't know. It's annoying, so...
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. Especially that rock concert, that one session was probably the most fun I've had. Doing this with you guys, so that was cool. Might not have ended as excitingly, but definitely had its parts.
I liked the fact. Let me clarify the house. The stealth bit was we didn't know what we were doing. That's fine.
Yeah,
it didn't work very well. I liked the final combat. That was fun.
Yeah,
like it all falling apart and us like scrapping, and just
and you being near death.
And being near death and just fighting to stay alive. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed how it fell apart.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, because things can go off the rail. Yeah, things can go off the rails real quick with a tabletop game because you can just break it constantly.
Yeah.
And that's fine as long as it's still fun. Like if it's fun for everybody,
right? Then
that's great. And sometimes that can be some of the most fun that you can have too.
Yeah,
is when that happens.
that whole sequence was. I really enjoyed like the story aspect of it. Like Raymond was outside in the car and the dog
getting attacked by a dog.
Dog like shoving his head in the window, and he jumps out the side and and then he slams the door open, and that was all great.
That's true. Yeah, there was some cool stuff going on in that combat sequence. So yeah, if anybody wants to see that, the end of I think session 6. Like, which I had to break it down into 3 parts on YouTube because it was so long. I think it was 3.5 hours straight up. It was a pretty fun fight, yeah. And you guys did survive it miraculously.
Somehow.
Barely.
See how much you heal up for next time. Alright, so that is going to put a final dot on the Bodyguards mission, our third Shadowrun adventure. Thank you to Chris, Heather, Raymond, and Reese is not here, but hopefully we will all be back for next week's new adventure called Splintered State for more Shadowrun 5th Edition adventures. We are here every Sunday evening at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. I am Eric Watson. Twitch TV/Gorbash722 on YouTube and on Twitter at Rogue Watson. Thanks, guys. See you next week. Bye.
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 Bye.